what the Church of Scientology is so afraid of.
This is SPTV. Welcome back, everyone. Aaron is here with Clearwater, Florida, Vice Mayor, City Council Member, Mark Bunker. How's it going?
It's going great, thanks. Except, I'm sorry, I am a little parched. Forgive me if I have to get a sip here.
I like
this is good water.
That is awesome. Look at that. Does it have an SPTV logo on the back, or is it? I can't remember how that one was.
No, this one does not.
Okay. I love your SP shirt.
Oh, thank you. This was given to me back in 2013 at some event, and I don't remember where. It actually says on the back of the shirt, I think, and on the back is fair game. It's written out, so it started some nice conversations yesterday as I was standing in line grabbing some free food at one of these events I was attending.
That's great. So I titled this video Scientology on the Ropes in Clearwater, Florida. And, some might say it's debatable whether that's actually true or not, but it sure seems that Scientology and David Miscavige are on the ropes. And it sure cannot help that you are launching, that you're part of the way through your re-election campaign for the Clearwater City Council. So as far as I'm concerned, Scientology's on the ropes in Clearwater, Florida.
I'd like to think they are. They're at least, circling the wagons and concerned about their future.
Yes. I mean, it would truly be an utter humiliation for David Miscavige if when given 4 years to prepare and moving as many people to Clearwater as possible. Some people think that's what they're doing. I don't really think that's what they're doing. But theoretically, they've had 4 years to figure out how to defeat you, how to get as many voting Scientologists to Clearwater as possible. You won the first time. They underestimated you. They didn't expect you to win. But if you're able to win re-election after they've had 4 years to prepare to defeat you, what an utter humiliation. And that's really what I mean when I say they're on the ropes right now.
Well, that would be the case. It is going to be a really, really tough campaign, not because of Scientology. I'm kind of discounting their efforts in this, but the establishment does not want me talking about Scientology almost as much as Scientology doesn't want me talking about Scientology, and they're throwing the big guns at me. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not being ignored this time.
And that's true. Let's not bury the lead here. I want to direct everybody to markbunker2024.com. This is your re-election website. I do encourage anyone who watches SPTV, if you're in the United States, please consider donating to Mark Bunker's campaign. The nationwide support you've already gotten has sent a very strong message. But we have about 4.5 more months until the election. Do I have that right? I'm not good at math. Mark, help me out. Elections are March 19th.
Yeah, that would be about right. Right.
If you're not yet subscribed to Mark Bunker's YouTube channel, you can find him over on YouTube at Mark Bunker. And so, it's funny how much the political establishment, on the one hand, has been largely infiltrated in Clearwater, Florida by Scientology's lobbying influence. On the other hand, they just seem to be generally terrified of landing in Scientology's crosshairs, as is true for most people. So something happened this week at the Clearwater at a city council work session where they were very obviously talking about Scientology while not wanting to say the word Scientology. What was that about?
Well, we were talking about parking, and parking is a difficult thing to do on the beach, and it's increasingly getting difficult downtown because we have the park in the amphitheater now. The spots that we used to have in front of the library, those are going to be taken away shortly because we're putting up a hotel and a beer garden and retail and all sorts of stuff in many of those parking spots. So Lena Teixeira, councilwoman, suggested at the end of one meeting, I'd like to see if I can get support from the council to start negotiations with the property owner across the street from the library to see if we can use those parking spaces. And then Kathleen said, well, that sounds good. We should be talking to those property owners. And I just turned on my mic and said, and you're talking about Scientology, right? And the mayor, who was sitting next to me, chimed in with, well, yeah, I don't know why anyone wasn't saying it, but yeah, it's Scientology. So,
I can tell you why they don't want to say it. Lena Teixeira won her election because all the Scientologists were told to vote for her. And Kathleen is, I believe Kathleen will win her election, but she is certainly counting on all the support from the Scientologists in order to win her election. You're obviously running on a platform of standing up to Scientology. The mayor isn't running for election, and David, the other council member, David Albritton, is not running for re-election. So it's interesting that the two people who refuse to say Scientology are the two people who are counting on Scientology support. So that's interesting. That was at the work session. And then go ahead.
No, I just wanted to point out that leading up to this little end conversation about negotiations, I had gone on a tirade because I was very upset about the parking situation. And I said, we're to the point now where we should be considering using eminent domain. We've got all these empty buildings sitting down there, not being used for anything. We may have to seize those and turn it into a parking structure. No one said anything about that. But then it was just a few minutes later when the suggestion was negotiations. And I didn't want to add at the end of that, yeah, and if negotiations fail, eminent domain is a nice solution.
You wouldn't even have to pave Paradise and turn it into a parking lot because we're talking about properties that are already parking lots.
Right.
What happened at the Thursday? So that was at the Monday council work session. At the meeting, there was something about Narconon, Scientology's Narconon program. What happened there?
Well, it wasn't expressly about Narconon. It was some folks from the North Greenwood community who were coming up to talk about the Red Ribbon Campaign, which is an anti-drug program that is nationwide. And it's not a Scientology program, although Scientology exploits it every year. If you do a search for Red Ribbon Campaign and Scientology, you'll see in city after city that they're hosting their own events for it. And I tried to make it clear in my closing comments that anything I was about to say had no reflection on the Red Ribbon people who were there earlier, and included a bunch of kids too, kids who were doing a great job. But I wanted to use that as a segue to talk about Scientology's exploitation and the fact that they use their anti-drug campaign to try to get into schools across the country. I pointed out that they don't here in Clearwater. Our Clearwater police have not allowed the drug-free marshals to go into any of the classrooms here. And I was very happy to hear that. When it was one of the first things I asked Chief Slaughter when I was running for office, if they had access, and they don't. But I wanted to talk about the devastating aspects of Narconon. And I remember, most of this I was just ad-libbing as we were going along because I hadn't prepared any comments. But I remember saying, the message, kids don't do drugs, that's a good one. And I agree with that. Kids don't do drugs. But I would also add, don't be fooled. And talked about the fact that this is really an attempt to introduce humanitarian L. Ron Hubbard into the minds of these young kids and fill them with nonsense about drugs, like drugs are stored in your fat cells, and Narconon gives you insanely dangerous amounts of niacin to use when you're in a sauna for 8 hours or however long it is. So, I just used my opportunity to talk about that. And of course, it's one of those things like no one else on the council wants to hear it, but I slipped it in there anyway.
One of your competitors is threatening to be hard on Scientology. to sort of try to outshine you, even though he's never taken a public stance or done anything really to stand up to Scientology. Have you heard anything from him?
No, I've bumped into him. He was at the last meeting last Thursday. We said a quick hello at the end of it. Other than that, no. I have. You know who I see all the time now is my good friend. I've been mispronouncing his name. Eliseo Santana. It's Eliseo Santana.
It's Eliseo.
Eliseo, yes. And so I saw him at the big, I think we mentioned the last time I was on here that there was a big Hispanic Heritage Festival. And we took some pictures there together. And then I saw him yesterday at an event that was for a lot of grassroots, nonpartisan political action groups. So I attended that yesterday, and he was a big mover in that.
Excellent. Actually, I just realized we totally buried the lead. We were supposed to promote your next 2 meetups. We're 11 minutes into this thing. Let's promote it right now. Okay, today is Sunday. You are having a meetup this Thursday at a restaurant just outside of downtown Clearwater called Hacienda Corralejo.
Indeed.
It's on Cleveland Street. If you're in Clearwater, you can't miss it. Hacienda Corralejo, not the Hacienda Gardens where the Sea Org members live, by the way. Big difference.
Right.
At the Hacienda Corralejo, you're allowed to eat food. At the Hacienda Gardens, that's not always a given. Okay. So 7 p.m. is the meetup?
7 p.m. Thursday night. Give us a chance to get together. And if you want to get some petitions to sign, you can sign one at the table with me. You can take some to get signatures from family, friends, neighbors. That would be a big help in getting me on the ballot. Also, I'll have some yard signs in my car if anyone wants to take one home with them. And then we can have a nice meal too. And this was one of the restaurants that you and I reviewed on Dining with the SPs.
That's right. We did. We absolutely
we
did.
went in there only a few days after they opened. And it's a nice video. I'm going to put that up on the invite page for the event.
Let me explain the purpose of these meetups and why they're important. In order to qualify to get on the ballot, you need 250 completed petitions completed by registered Clearwater voters. You'd be shocked at how many people are registered to vote but are not a Clearwater resident who will sign the petitions. You'll be shocked how many people will sign the petitions and don't realize they're not registered to vote. So it's not just 250 petitions. It's fully audited. The city goes through them. They have to be registered. They have to live in Clearwater, incorporated Clearwater, not unincorporated Clearwater. You'd be shocked how many people don't realize they live in unincorporated Clearwater. I believe the deadline to turn these things is something like December 15th. Am I wrong?
You're wrong. I believe it's November 19th. I think the period to turn them in is the November 3rd to the 19th.
Okay, so you have less than 4 weeks to get 250 signatures. You have about 100, but they're not audited yet. You don't know how many of those are going to be accepted yet. Okay.
Right.
So we need to schedule and promote as many meetups as possible because, guys, the purpose of the meetups, it's easier to have 20 people come to Mark and sign cards than to have Mark go to 20 people to get cards signed. And so that's why these meetups are so important. So for right now, this Thursday, 7 p.m., Hacienda Corralejo. And then what's the one? Did you say November 4th?
Yes. Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m., we're going to have a big meetup at one of the Clearwater libraries on Drew Street, which is right up by 19 and the baseball stadium. It's on the SPT St. Pete College, St. Petersburg College, campus, and it's our public library there.
That's right.
So we have a meeting room set aside.
Good, and I will be at the Hacienda Corralejo meetup. I will be at the meetup at the St. Pete College Library. That's at Drew and US 19. Put those on your calendar, guys. By all means, if you have another opportunity to get to visit with Mark, get one of these cards signed before then, please do. But otherwise, you can come to the meetups. And Mark, let's get some more meetups on the books, and we'll keep coming on here and promoting the dates and the times and the locations.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do that. And I'm also knocking on doors and getting out yard signs for people as well, and all sorts of fun stuff.
Excelente. All right, guys, we're going to keep this short and sweet. I've got a live stream coming up in 15 minutes with Sterling, so stay tuned for that. And anyway, you'll be seeing much more of these because we're going to do short little videos promoting these meetups. And yes. All right, thanks for doing this with me, Mark.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Talk to you guys soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not,